Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
Ain't gonna hurt.
Is my boomstick!
Game over, man. Game over.
Welcome to the Bargain Bin. He is your host, Ben Mason.
And he's your co-host, Sandra Luketic. And today we are talking December's listener pick from Zero, 1994's The Santa Claus. Tim Allen, Sandro, is somebody we haven't really talked about much on this podcast.
Much is one way to say it. Another way to say it would be at all.
At all, yes. How do you feel about Tim Allen?
I was a big fan of Home Improvement growing up.
Yeah.
I can't really say I've been a big fan of his other stuff. I've seen this and that. Obviously I like a couple of the things, but nothing I was like, oh, that stands out. He's amazing. I got to watch this, So
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Tim Allen's acting career. Again, I really did love Home Improvement. Like you enjoyed it. I remember seeing him in the Santa Claus and thinking, this is strange. I know he was in, I believe it was Christmas with the Cranks, but I never saw that. But for me, it was his stand-up. His stand-up really caught me off guard because it was pretty crude at the time from the wholesome Tim the Toolman Taylor character that I was used to.
That seems to be the trend with these actors playing parents and feel-good shows.
Yeah, Tim Allen was right along with Bob Saget in the shit he would say in his stand-up, and then you would see him being wholesome on TV.
I don't even know if it's a contest.
What are your memories of the Santa Claus? Did you see this before?
No.
No? Really? Okay. Yeah, I definitely saw this one. I did not watch the others in the series, and apparently there's a TV show now called The Santa Clauses or The Clauses or something like that.
No, I think it's just called The Santa Claus. There was some confusion when I was doing my research and like the cast and stuff like that, and I kept getting this new one.
I will never watch it, whatever it's called.
I don't know how they made multiple movies, let alone a TV show, but
I don't know, man. This movie is it's something else. Do you want to go into Zero's reason for picking the movie before we start playing the game, or would you like me to do that?
I just assume he doesn't like us.
Well, I'll say to anybody listening right now, today we're using Sandro's notes because I got caught in a bind where I am incredibly busy right now, and Sandro picked up all of my slack and did all of the legwork for this episode, including transcribing Zero's reason for picking the movie and his awards. So,
you think if you didn't warn people that I did notes for an episode, that they would be able to tell the difference stylistically?
Oh, 100%. Because as I'm going through your notes, I am laughing my ass off. Because I do it matter of fact, and you do it with a certain zing, should I say.
I literally just write down what comes to my mind when I'm watching.
I can tell. I can definitely tell. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different episode, but honestly, probably a better one.
I don't know about that, but
so Zero's reason for picking this movie is as follows. Because I was listening to your holiday special from your earlier videos and remembered commenting that you guys had to review it for Christmas. I also have been picking a lot of good movies and figured why not pick a relatively bad one. That's subjective.
How long ago did we do a Christmas special?
I don't know. I'm assuming a year.
No.
I couldn't tell you what it was, though.
No. I think it was like the Halloween special. You did like a list of your top Christmas. This must have been like 3 episodes in.
I did a listing of my top Christmas episodes for Halloween.
No. You did both. No, you did both.
Yes,
Our first year, when we were very new, you did a list of like your top 5 or 10 Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And then that Christmas, you also did a list of your top Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And that's why I finally watched Nightmare Before Christmas, because I had decided, I'm going to pick one movie from your list that I hadn't seen and watch it. But like, this is way back.
That's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into your game, because I already know I'm going to fail. I have one which I never thought I would get, but I only have one.
There's only one, and honestly, I was going to say, like, there's only one, and I don't even know if it's fair to make you play.
I noticed her as soon as I saw her.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is Wendy Crewson as Laura Miller in this movie was Kate in Mazes and Monsters.
Yup. That's the game.
The easiest win I've ever had.
There was one other one that was like a cameo, like the other role was a cop. That's all it said, and I didn't pick it because it didn't really fit outside of the cameo criteria.
Give me this win.
I was like, there's no way he's going to remember something from Mazes and Monsters.
Oh, we all remember Kate. How do you not?
I try to forget Mazes and Monsters entirely.
That was bad. It was a bad one.
Yeah. Sorry, Tim, if you're listening.
Let's dive into this, because I have to say I fucking love your notes, Sandro.
Okay.
The movie opens like many holiday/Christmas movies do, at a work Christmas party, and that is so accurate. It's such a stale way of opening a movie, but it's so common. Boss Peter Boyle, who is amazing in almost everything he's done, applauds the marketing team featuring Scott Calvin for their amazing profits at the toy company. Immediately, I recognize that Scott Calvin, Santa Claus, same initials. I noticed that in '94, the first time I saw this movie. It's pretty blatant.
It took me a little bit, but not as long as when the movie just decides to ham-fist it to you.
And does it ever? And you picked up things that I've read in your notes that I never noticed. I've seen this movie a few times, never noticed any of them. The elves.
That was one that really seemed peculiar to me, but it was more the combination of all of it.
Yeah.
So just to keep people guessing, we'll wait till it happens to bring it up.
Okay. So Scott gives a speech about family over profits, which seems like it should be a cover for a terrible human being, and he is a horrible person.
He's not, though.
He is, man.
He's not, really. Like, I know it's probably like one of these Disney movies and you can't paint too bad of a picture of the guy, but like, he's not that bad. They try to suggest all of these things he's done in the past, but like, if you boil it down in the movie, it's like, he's not like rude to the employees, which is what you would think would happen immediately with a speech like this.
Good point.
He's late or absent sometimes, and he doesn't like Neil, who is shacked up with his ex, which I'm sure many people can relate to.
Wait, what's that supposed to mean? Also, Judge Reinhold sucks.
Anyways, like, is any of those things that terrible? It's not like when he's with his son, he's not loving and attentive.
Just, can you imagine? It's just backhands and insults.
It's just like, all they really did was say, oh, he's late sometimes.
Yeah, but
okay.
In your note here, which I agree, it sums it up. Cut immediately to Scott driving home on an empty road while lying on the phone to his ex-wife about being late to get home because of traffic.
Yeah. One time. We all mess up.
One time. This is a pattern for him for sure.
Yeah, but the movie doesn't do a good job setting up that pattern. They just expect us to buy it and be like, yeah, Yeah, he's a jerk.
I feel like the opening of Liar Liar with Jim Carrey is pretty much this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the exact same character.
Yes, but in Liar Liar, they actually do a much better job setting the groundwork to be like, this guy lies all the time. In this movie, they're just like, he's late this time, and we're going to suggest that he's late frequently, and you just got to accept the rest that he's a terrible person. It's like, that's not enough.
They convinced me, man. Maybe I'm just a very passive movie viewer today.
You just don't like Tim Allen.
That could be. Cut to kids looking to a toy store as we see what is clearly an elf with pointy ears in the crowd turn as Calvin drives by. And you have hint number 1 that this is a setup.
Yeah, I definitely have a number of times written down there where I'm fairly certain that it was orchestrated that he become the next Santa.
Yeah.
No idea why they picked him, but the hints are definitely there.
I missed this completely because I was thrown aback by the fact that the caroling sounds incredibly satanic. Like it's like ripped out of The Omen at this point. Like it is insane how dark this caroling is.
Oh yeah, and Scott's the bad guy.
Yeah. Well,
you got demonic carolers.
Scott gets his ex to come in while her new boyfriend Neil sits in the car. Clearly, Calvin does not like him, and yes, it's very blatant that Scott is not a fan of Neil. But why would he be? Like, Neil is a doctor. He's with Scott's ex, Laura. They seem to have a good thing on the go, and Scott's just, he's a scorned ex now.
Yeah. I don't blame him for being upset about it. They don't really suggest if he does harbor any feelings or wish they were still together.
Yeah.
But I think most of us can just understand. Like, this is his ex, the mother of his child. She's with another guy.
Exactly.
It's just an unfortunate situation for him. But nobody likes Neil. So
yeah. But it's also a kid's film with adult humor, which I appreciate. I've always liked stuff like that, especially coming from a Disney film.
Well, yeah, because you know that there's going to be adults taking the kids there, so give them something.
Exactly.
Just something simple. And there's a lot of jokes. Again, I didn't see this when I was younger, so I can't say if they hit before or not. There's a lot of jokes where it's like, I could see if I was a kid, I wouldn't pick up on it. And it would at least give an adult a chuckle without being too risque.
Agreed. Scott makes snooty comments about Neil while his ex tells him that they're spending Christmas at Neil's parents and that Neil told Charlie that Santa isn't real. When did you find out that Santa isn't real?
What do you mean?
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry, man.
Honestly, don't know. I think it's one of those things that just happened over time, and it was never really so bad that I harbored some sort of trauma. Like, I just don't even remember. It just happened at some point.
I do remember it was in grade school. I don't know exactly what year. It was like, I think grade 4. And someone said, Santa's not real. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then just kind of pieced everything together myself. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I went home and told my parents, like, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
It's kind of nice to hear, knowing that that's one of those lies, if you want to use the word, even though it has such a negative connotation, that kids are okay with. After a while, they just realize that, yeah, it's just for the fun of it. It's like cartoons. You know, cartoons aren't real, but you still enjoy them.
Yeah, it's, I wouldn't even say it's a lie so much as it is a presentation with great intentions. So when you realize it's not real, you understand that it was for the benefit of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one gets hurt in the idea of Santa Claus. So Neil, I love your notes. Neil, with the patience of a saint, lays on the car horn, which the neighbors must love due to Laura being inside for a few minutes.
That's it. Like, she's barely inside, and he is just honking that horn.
It's so funny though. Like it really, really works.
It's because no one likes Neil.
Laura says that it wasn't Neil that told Charlie about Santa, but a big kid at school, and Neil reinforced it. Fine. So she gives...
Which is not nearly as bad for Neil, because it's like, at that point, you have a choice. You're faced with it. You can either continue with the ruse, or, okay, well, the cat's out of the bag. Might as well just try and now lighten the blow, but obviously this is done in a way to make Neil look like, a non-believer, because in this world, Santa is real.
Oh, God. I wish...
That's a mentality you have to wrap your head around in this movie, is that Santa is real. So the non-believers are the ones that are wrong.
Well, you can never trust the non-believers. We know this. Laura says that it wasn't... Oh, sorry. I went back a note. Laura gives Scott a hard time for not being around and apparently blames him for creating the toy that is selling well and bringing joy to kids.
Yeah, she makes some snood remark about this. Oh, I forget the name of the doll right now.
Oh, I don't know.
But it's like, yeah, he works for a toy company. He made a massively successful toy that kids like and want.
Yeah.
How dare he?
Son of a bitch. You made a note that I had to put like a little note onto as well. Charlie does not want to stay with his dad for Christmas. I find the trope of the child in a broken marriage during the holidays is a really cheap tactic to get viewers invested, but it works so incredibly well that it pisses me off. Because you think of the holidays, you think of families getting together, Christmas trees, presents, wood fires, decent meals, joy, everyone having fun. So as soon as you introduce like divorce, immediately it makes you feel bad for the kid. It's a really, really cheap trick.
I don't understand why he doesn't want to stay with his dad.
Me neither. They never really get into that.
So many times in this movie, or not in this movie, in these movies, the child is upset because the dad is always late, because the dad is never around. It's because they want to be around. Why does he care if the dad is absent if he doesn't want to be with the dad anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. What I also don't know, you have written, Scott is surprised turkey will take 4 hours to cook as he somehow got to adulthood without knowing that, but luckily just burns all the food instead. I'm 41 years old and I have never cooked a turkey, so I would not know that either.
40, I've never cooked a turkey, but I know that it takes many hours, especially based on the size of the turkey.
How old is Scott Calvin supposed to be in this movie? Because I'm really worried that I'm older.
It's very possible, dude.
Let's see. This is 1994. Oh my god, he was 41 years old. Well, either I am a massive embarrassment or I am going to be Santa Claus this year. Oh, next year. That's really sad. Tim Allen in this movie is my age now. Show's over. Show's fucking over. Cut it.
I was just waiting to be. Where is he going with this?
Oh my god. All right. After putting out the oven fire for a second time, he says I should go out and eat. Yeah, this is sounding way too much like me. I should not be surprised.
How many times do you set your oven on fire?
Let's not get into it.
Okay.
They drive around looking for somewhere that is open and only find a Denny's. I don't mind Denny's. So Scott and Charlie talk about Neil, and Charlie seems to have a lot of resentment for his father. Not sure this movie has given us the appropriate backing for this attitude. I have a note of how much Charlie's talking up Neil, and Scott just goes, yeah, and you should see him walk on water. Oh, that's a joke for the parents.
I guess joke is a generous word. It's a comment for the parents.
Yeah. Yeah, he's snide. He's very snide. So Denny's is full of Asian businessmen and other dads who have seemingly killed their kids' dreams, or killed their kids' Christmas dinner, killed their dreams. I mean, basically, right? Everyone likes Denny's. It's an American institution.
I don't know. I've never been.
No. As they're being seated, another elf is seen headed towards the exit, who stops to take a quick look at Scott before the camera angle changes. And you have hint number 2. This is a setup.
Yeah, he's being scouted, man.
Never noticed. Never noticed this before.
This one is maybe the most subtle because it is a very quick cut.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if after the fact you went and looked at it.
I did.
It was the easiest one to miss, and it was maybe the last one that I actually caught because it is such a quick cut.
Well, it really helped having your notes pointing things out as I was watching the movie. Scott reads The Night Before Christmas to a seemingly asleep Charlie, who is somehow wide awake, asking for clarification on what clatter means, how reindeers fly, and Santa's ability to get into every house. Scott's rambling through the book is actually pretty funny. He just wants to get the fuck out of there, which to me makes it feel like he is a deadbeat dad.
Well, he thinks that Charlie, is it Charlie?
Charlie
is asleep.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I don't need to read the whole story, but whatever, he's already asleep. Because if you look at the shot of the kid, he's out.
Why don't you just stop reading?
Whatever. He was maybe unsure of him. Well, maybe it was kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll gauge if he comments because he is still awake, then I will keep going normally. But
just start mumbling with Simpsons. Dear Marge, I have $5. Get out of here. Also, did you know that antlers give reindeer a slipstream effect? In case you want some trivia down the road.
No.
Okay. Well, Charlie's awakened by the sound of Santa and the reindeer landing on the roof. Hint number 3 that as Santa has been doing this forever and somehow is now lacking in stealth. That's a fair point. I'll give you that.
Well, this is probably my biggest issue with the movie.
This is?
Well, I didn't say only. I said biggest.
Okay. All right.
Is that Santa is real in this universe. Therefore, his ability to not have been caught in all this time is clearly very good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's just loud on the roof, making noise. How? How has he not been caught before then?
Well, you have here that Scott's been hiding his disbelief in Santa from Charlie, but it peeks through as he argues that it's not Santa on the roof, but an intruder or something. I love Charlie being like, I heard a clatter. And Scott just saying, Charlie, do you know how to call 911? Yeah. 911. That's some of the best writing in this movie. Spoilers.
That's kind
I
of sad.
don't think this movie's that great. Scott runs outside in his underwear and spooks Santa while he's looking into the chimney, causing him to fall off. Hint number 4, why isn't he using his bag to get in the chimney rather than just looking inside of it? The look on Scott's face, though, is pure shock, and I love it.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. Later on, we learn how Santa gets in and out of the houses.
Yeah.
Why? But he's not using it in this situation?
No.
It's because he wants to be caught.
He wants to die.
I don't know if he dies.
Well, Charlie runs outside to find out Santa, quote, was real because he is now dead. That's your note.
Well, I think that's what the movie wants you to believe.
Well, yeah, Scott says, he's not Santa, and Charlie responds with, well, he was.
Sorry, Charlie. you had to find out just in time.
Yeah. By the way, Santa is real, and I killed him.
Yeah, you know those kids who told you that he wasn't real? They're right now.
He did. Scott finds the card in Santa's pocket that says to put on the suit if something happens to him, and the reindeer will know what to do. So we cue the sound of bells from the roof, grabbing their attention. Hint number 5, dead Santa waves goodbye as they run to see the reindeer and then vanish. Yeah. I mean, all of your hints are more so facts now.
Yeah.
a ladder appears to allow the two to get up to the roof. And yeah, call back to the clatter conversation that you brought up.
That maybe could also be a hint, but I'm not sure. Because I would imagine that the Christmas ladder isn't a frequent thing for Santa.
No.
And, these spies heard Charlie have this conversation. We're like, oh, okay, we'll mess with him and give him this ladder. But that's just me stretching it at this point.
Also, it's a mid-90s Disney movie, so we get fart jokes as Comet is offended by being called Rudolph. I do love Scott's quote of, they all look like they have key Lyme disease.
I don't get it.
Lyme disease, key lime pie. No, I thought it was funny. Scott's an idiot.
Yeah.
He says they aren't Santa's reindeer, but a gift from the cable company because they're getting the Disney Channel now. I mean, it is a Disney film, so haha. Scott tries to get Charlie to get out of the sleigh, but the reindeer take his demand of "let's go" to mean it's time to deliver. And they ride up the side of a delivery driver who you say here probably thinks he is high out of his mind.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
If you actually look at this driver when this is happening, he's just nodding and staring blankly in their direction. It is awkward.
Did you notice the voice of the reindeer?
Reindeer have a voice?
Well, they make grunting sounds.
Then no, I didn't pay that close attention to their grunting sounds.
Because it's Toka and Razor from TMNT to Secret of the Ooze. It's Frank Welker.
Oh, nice.
And it's the exact same sounds. The exact same.
Hold on. They needed to get Frank Welker to do reindeer grunts.
Yeah.
Seems like a very valuable use of his time, but hey, I guess it's a paycheck for him.
Oh, he made bank off of going, It's amazing. The guy's got it made, dude.
If you say so.
So Charlie guilts his father into delivering gifts to the houses that they are at, because he says everything he wants to do is stupid. Pretty sure this is an out of the ordinary kid. I agree with your note. Yes, there's something off about this kid. Luckily, Scott is in his underwear, so he has a reason to put on the suit. That's accurate. I mean, that's just realism. Picking up Santa's sack gives us the opportunity to see shitty 1994 CGI. The Christmas magic they use to explain entry and exits, which is honestly not bad.
It's not. It really isn't. Like the way that they explain it, okay, the sack, delivers him in there, and if there isn't a fireplace, it just kind of expands, or a chimney. You don't need to get into like a legitimate explanation. You can just kind of have that. But unfortunately, they didn't have the CGI behind it to display it very well, because this looks awful.
It looks bad, but they covered it with humor for me, because Charlie right up says, "You're flying!" And Scott goes, "It's okay, I'm used to it. I lived through the 60s. That's great. That's a joke for the parents.
That doesn't.
So he leaves
to cover the bad CGI.
Well, it at least made me laugh instead of groan when I wanted to groan. So he leaves the gifts and is chased out by a dog, only to escape to the next house with the worst CGI I have ever seen. You have written down here, and yeah, we've covered that.
It doesn't get any
We learned
better,
that the
man.
bag
It doesn't get any.
automatically refills itself with the toys needed for the specific house, which must make Santa's job a lot easier. Fine. I don't really like Santa Claus movies, other than, say, Violent Night. So when we get the explanation of how things work, I'm like, I don't care. Every movie's going to come up with its own idea. Let's get to the plot.
In their defense, they don't linger on it. It's a very, very quick thing, and it's just like, oh, hey, cool. They came up with a reason for it. And honestly, some of these little details are the only thing that they actually did well.
Yeah, but they don't do anything for the story.
Well, exactly. But that's why I said it's the only thing they do well. You got to point out something.
I guess. Like the wall opening up into a chimney. The actual fuck, man. Like, we don't need to see that. We don't. Like, okay, we understand that Christmas magic is a thing. Move on. Same time, it's 94. It's a kid's movie. So, Calvin is a jerk to the girl who is just trying to stay up to see Santa, and then complains about being lactose intolerant as a reason not to drink the milk. Again, I sighed here. I wanted to groan, but then I laughed out loud because the way he just throws that doll into the tree is fucking hilarious.
He's so rude about it. He's like, he's like almost threatening her. Like, you actually want this doll?
Yeah.
Go back to sleep. I just don't have time for this shit.
The scene of Scott delivering a kayak and paddle and sucking at it. Dude, he just places it against the wall. It falls, knocks over the tree, and he just leaves.
Something must have caught fire.
It had to, right? And then, like, Scott thinks Charlie fell out of his sleigh, but he's just in the back playing with a dog. And that, to me, is incredibly stupid. But again, I get it. Disney.
Oh, if the sack only refills the presents for the house you're at, why is there a dog in the sleigh right now?
Too many questions. You can't do that.
Did they just kidnap a dog from one of the houses?
That'd be great. You imagine a kid wakes up, he's like, Santa left me a lump of coal and stole my dog. Fuck Christmas. Scott does the Tim Taylor grunt as he is pleased with his night's work, just in case anyone forgot why he's famous and in this movie.
You gotta capitalize on what he's famous for.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm okay with it because they didn't overdo it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's only the one time, I think.
Yeah, I believe it is just literally that one time.
Yeah. The request to fly home brings him to the North Pole. You have written here, how are they confused on where this is supposed to be? I don't know.
Come on. We know about the mythos of Santa. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be confused by the fact that you flew me to the North Pole, because maybe I didn't click in that when I said home, this is where you brought me. But it's a Santa story. It'd be like, where are we? Come on, man.
Random music plays, which it seems they hear as they look around as an elf shows up to open the way inside and just seems to ignore their talking. Now, this is just a weird scene all around.
It's so weird.
Shots of elves doing elf shit while Bernard, David Krumholtz, looks on at the new Santa, bitter as hell.
I think we can all relate to him right now.
Yeah. He makes himself present and just jerks up the place. Shouldn't elves be happy? I love your notes, man. I really do. Bernard is capable of being nice, as displayed by his attitude towards Charlie. Yes, but then he gives him that stupid fucking snow globe of shit CGI to hold on to and sends him to get some food. I hate this fucking snow globe. You are right. It is shit CGI, and it comes up way too many times. Scott holds up a toy tool belt to his waist. Okay. Clearly a nod at his show Home Improvement.
I didn't mind that one.
I didn't mind that either.
And that's one of the ones that I actually didn't even notice until my second viewing, because it is quick, it is subtle, and I honestly don't have a problem with an actor who is famous for a role just having a small nod to that in another feature. Like, don't hit us over the head with it, but just like a subtle little thing, I'm okay with that.
Bernard reveals the really small print on the card because I guess people have to be tricked into being Santa, probably why the last guy wanted to get the fuck out of there, and is probably now sipping drinks made from coconuts with little umbrellas on some tropical beach.
Well, I didn't put the cuss word in there, but yes, that is my note.
Yes, you had F. I'm going to embellish. So Bernard just can't seem to get the info through to Scott and tells him he is no longer his old self and has to be back in 11 months after putting his affairs in order.
See, that's the part that is like, I get this is a kid's movie, but you put on that suit, it's like you're sentencing yourself to life as Santa, whether you want to or not. Bernard even says, like, your previous identity no longer matters. Like, you have 11 months to tie up your affairs, and then that's it. You're Santa.
Yeah.
And it's all because you put on the suit. And it's, yeah.
I have 3 notes for this part. 1, Bernard has no time for this shit. He's in, he's out.
He's the most bitter elf ever.
P and C, present or coal. I hate it. I also hate the design of this workshop. So Bernard passes them off to Judy, who will take care of them. There's a puppet show in Santa's bedroom. That weirded me out. Everything about Santa's bedroom weirded me out.
Nothing really stood out to me about his bedroom except for the fact that there's just like a puppet show going on. And
it's a children's playroom, and he has a giant bed in the middle of it. I don't like it.
Well, he's not a child.
Exactly.
So.
The pajamas have the SC stitched into them, giving anyone who hasn't figured it out a visual that they have the same initials. Hint number 6. He was targeted for the setup. I have written this is the worst bedroom ever. Even the puppets scream when he takes his pants off.
Well, that's just like
I get it.
A little joke, but it's
Judy.
Your puppet's in the bedroom. What do you think is going to happen?
Judy brings Scott a hot chocolate that took her 1,200 years to get right. My note here is 1,200 years means that you're fucking terrible at what you're trying to do. It's hot chocolate.
It's not to say the old ones were bad. Yeah. They just weren't perfect.
He says she looks good for her age.
Which is clearly a joke. Clearly a joke. Like
yeah.
Oh, 1,200 years. You look like you're 8. Like,
yeah.
It's clearly a joke.
I know. It just shouldn't be. It's not even delivered well. But Judy says that it makes sense that he doesn't believe this because adults just seem to grow out of believing in magic. Apparently, Scott has not watched Hook.
Oh, I love Hook.
I hate Hook. The movie sucks.
Oh,
Scott
right now.
Scott goes to bed and wakes up back in his own home, but is still in disbelief, even though he is wearing the same pajamas he was given by Judy. Also, how do you just fall asleep in a strange bed after what you have been witness to? He doesn't seem traumatized whatsoever. He just drifts off, smiling at his son, who's already out cold.
Well, clearly Judy roofied his hot chocolate.
Took 1,200 years to figure out this recipe. Go to sleep, Santa. He goes outside to investigate, like anything that happened would have been left in those places specifically. Ho, ho, ho. Charlie points out that the initials to any of the mouth breathers that have yet to figure it out. My note to that is just LOL. How do you not figure that out? So Laura yeah. Laura comes to pick up Charlie, and of course his retelling of events sound like the ramblings of a madman, but Scott refutes it all. Great job, Scott. The conversation of confusing misinformation continues outside with Neil as well. And one of my favorite lines is Neil just being like, "Wait, some waitress gave you pajamas?" Like, yep. That's the writing for this movie. Of course, the very next time they're in school, which I have to believe is not Boxing Day, is Parents' Career Day. It really doesn't make sense, you're right. But I love the quote from Fireman O'Hara saying, "Remember, kids, there is nothing more painful than third-degree burns." Smile. The perfect opportunity to draw the comparison to Scott making toys for a toy company, further connecting the dots between him and his predetermined path to becoming Santa. But Charlie sounds fucking crazy here, telling the class what happened the night before.
Is it the night before? You shouldn't be in school on Boxing Day. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. The parents are all called into the principal's office, and everyone just attacks Scott as he responds with sarcastic jokes. Honestly, his jokes are fucking hilarious here. Because Neil says, Scott, what was the last thing you and Charlie did before you went to bed Christmas Eve? And Scott replies with, we shared a bowl of brown sugar, did some shots of brown liquor, played with my shotguns, field dressed a cat, looked for women. That is probably one of the best lines of the movie. Because, yes, it's a kid's film. It's a family film. It's an adult line. It's a really funny adult line. It's very well written. It's very well delivered. And right now, I'm completely on board with Scott Calvin. Fuck Neil.
I don't understand why they're attacking Scott. Like, I get Charlie is saying things that maybe they believe he shouldn't be saying. But up until now, Scott has refuted all of them. So it's like, I'm on your side, guys.
Yeah, right?
I understand that he's telling these stories about me, but I've, at every turn, shot them down. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, he's trying to be as reasonable as possible, as realistic as possible. Because next is the conversation where Scott tries to tell his son that he isn't actually Santa. And Charlie tries to use the snow globe as proof, and you have written here, but I guess its CGI magic isn't available at all times. I fucking hate the snow globe. We don't need it. It looks terrible every time it's on screen. It doesn't even really make sense for the movie. It's not that important, but they keep bringing it up.
There's even one part, I feel like maybe it's this scene or another scene, but Scott even says, like, yeah, we used to make these. No one bought them.
Yeah, it is that scene.
Yeah, they're trash.
You have next, pan out to Scott being followed by a bunch of reindeer clearly indigenous to the area. Now, they are at a zoo. There was a polar bear in that scene. And there is a sign indicating that reindeer are ahead. Also, reindeer are caribou, and caribou are, I mean, they're on the quarter here in Canada, right? They're around.
Oh, yeah. Those reindeer at the zoo that just freely roam the grounds.
Okay, yeah. Free roaming is different. You're right. So Laura looks in on Charlie pretending to be Santa, which is weird. Then Neil grilling Charlie on the details of how Santa works and can't accept it as it's not logical. Scott here is also visibly putting on weight. But I love the conversation between Charlie and Neil. Because Neil says, have you ever seen a reindeer fly? Charlie says no. Or says yes, sorry. Charlie says, well, I haven't. And Charlie, this kid, says, have you ever seen $1 million? Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This kid just burned Judge Reinhold bad.
Nobody likes Neil.
Nobody likes Neil. Judge Reinhold is always cast in roles where people just don't like the character. I feel bad for him. Except for maybe Beverly Hills Cop. But
yeah,
he is a really, really good actor.
I will forever like him because of Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah. As an actor. But yes, he doesn't get the best roles all the time.
No. Another scene of Scott trying to tell Charlie he isn't Santa again. We just did this. Bad movie pacing. This time, however, it's about keeping it a secret instead of denial. Yeah, there was an awkward scene, dude. You're right.
But we just did it.
Yeah. Scott wakes up fat with a beard and somehow is still too stupid to put everything together because he is clearly in denial. I added also fart jokes.
Well, yeah,
it's dumb.
Because now he's fat and fat people fart, and
I hate it. I hate it so
awful.
much.
It is absolutely terrible.
Scott goes to work in time for lunch and just orders a whole bunch of sweets. I hated this boardroom scene so much. After the suits finish staring at him eating his food, Scott gets upset with the new toy idea of Santa's tank. Who in the fuck would even think that's a good idea? Me. I mean, I'd buy Santa Claus in a tank.
That's a bad toy, dude.
I know it is.
Nobody's buying that. You're telling me these are the people that made millions with like their previous toys somehow think that this is a good idea that's going to sell?
Yes.
No. This guy was clearly not on that successful marketing team.
Scott seems to now be concerned with building quality toys for kids rather than making a profit, which they did not set the groundwork for enough to have us believe this is a big change of character for him. Accurate. That's a very accurate statement. And now we go to Scott at the doctor getting tested, and this might be the worst doctor in movie history who pretty much just shrugs it all off as hormones due to aging with bad jokes. The first thing I noticed here is that Scott's stomach is completely blue.
I didn't even notice that. Really?
Oh, yeah. It's a different color from the rest of him altogether. How fast does facial hair grow? It could be a hormonal imbalance, right? I did like the fact that his heartbeat is jingle bells. I don't know if you picked up on that.
I did pick up on it. I didn't care for it, to be honest with you.
The movie's so ridiculous now. I'm in for the holiday jokes.
You gotta be in it for something.
Scott's watching Charlie play soccer when kids just start lining up to sit in his lap and tell him what they want for Christmas. I didn't like that.
I'm sure I've seen people in public before that share a resemblance to the description of Santa Claus. I never saw any kids lining up to sit in their lap.
No.
Thankfully.
Neil and Laura show up to the insane image, and Neil gives Scott his card. He lives with his ex-wife. Why the hell would he need a card? Accurate. Again, like, your notes have been making me crack up all day.
This is scene.
Neil.
Judge Reinhold staring at him like he's staring through him almost. But he's just like perplexed and gone. And he's like, it's almost like it's muscle memory. It's like, here's my card. What?
$3.75 an hour. Neil and Laura pull Charlie from the game despite Scott agreeing to leave so that it doesn't ruin Charlie's day. But forget that. This is not about the kid to them, apparently. And it's not. They're trying to prove a point.
The kid even just says, like, we just got here. And if Scott says, don't pull him out of here, I'll just leave. Just be like, okay.
Scott gets a delivery for the good and bad lists, and it fills his entire house. Should have had the automated scroll from Violent Night. I was thinking the exact same thing. I enjoyed Violent Night a lot more than this movie. Neil and Laura talk about the Scott issue in a short, pointless scene that didn't need to be in the film, and I agree. I don't know why this was even filmed at all.
It's such a quick cut to it as well.
Yeah, it's maybe a 15-second scene that does nothing for the movie.
Yeah.
It's like they had to be guaranteed a certain amount of screen time.
You can get this exact same information in the scene where they take Charlie to see the judge. I assume it's the judge, whatever. No, this one has no purpose.
Scott walking the street, realizing he just knows people are naughty or nice, including a woman who thinks he is hitting on her. That was actually funny.
I mean, part of it is the way he says it. Like, he's like, this person, nice. This person, nice. This person, he's a little bit caught off. Oh, naughty. And then he sees her and he's like, very nice.
Very nice. It's good. I liked it. Scott shaves and dyes his hair only for it to instantly be Santified again. I get it. It looked terrible.
It did. But he's still in denial.
Yeah. I don't know how, but yeah, he is still in denial. The most out-of-touch adults want to take Scott's visitation rights away because their son thinks the most harmful thing ever, that his dad is a jolly, giving person who personifies a holiday of togetherness and family. I mean, you summed it up perfectly right there. That is this movie. They discuss not believing in Santa because of the gifts that they didn't get, understanding the real gravity of the situation as Charlie is talking to the judge.
That is awful. That is absolutely awful. I mean, we don't all get what we want for Christmas, and I doubt that's the reason many of us don't believe in Santa.
Yeah. You have here, the legal system works because it sees the harm in Charlie having an imagination. Scott just wants to say goodbye to Charlie properly, but Neil is a jerk. And Charlie tosses the terrible CGI snow globe to Scott, and I guess the sleeper memories are reactivated. Bernard displays his bamfing ability as he appears at the dinner table, and they all bamf out. That made me laugh a lot. Honestly, we can fly through this last part because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Of all the things that have happened, all the things that Scott has witnessed, looking at his hair change instantly in the mirror, getting fat, getting lists of naughty and nice, the snow globe being tossed to him is what wakes him up.
Yeah, I don't know. The police get together to plan and take down Scott. I guess he looks like Santa would be too simple of an explanation.
You've got like crude drawings and stuff.
I know. Back at the North Pole, Santa's R&D department. Yeah, that was ridiculous. Out of nowhere, genius Charlie comes up with the new safety precautions, with Scott obsessing over prevention of falling off of roofs. Fair. Charlie calls his parents to tell them he is okay, as they are visiting with presumably the entire precinct that didn't feel the need to wait 24 hours for a missing persons case. Also accurate. Action sequences splicing footage of Santa getting ready for deliveries, police harassing other Santas, and Neil being a sad boy. It's just such a sad boy. It's such a good term. Sweet scene of Santa delivering to the same little girl as the first night. She remembers he said he was lactose intolerant and puts out soy milk. The police apprehend Santa because he is just not a stealthy figure any longer.
He just goes back to their house and gets caught.
Yep. Yes.
That's it. Like, Santa is supposed to be better at this.
Yeah, I know. Charlie's stuck on the roof, so the elves back at the North Pole deploy the ELFS, the Elves, Effective Liberating Flight Squad. Don't even get me started. I don't want to get into it. Santa's interrogated about his name and rhymes off monikers for Santa all around the world. That I did enjoy. But that also reminded me of Violent Night.
Although this one came a lot earlier, so...
Yeah, but also didn't do it nearly as well.
No, but again, it was how many years apart?
Enough. Say like 29?
Yeah.
28. The elves arrive on the roof to save Charlie, and after this, leader elf gets to 3 sentences. But you only need one to know he needs to fuck all the way off.
I think I actually wrote that, maybe?
You did.
Yeah.
That was word for word.
Yeah.
And then, the elves confront a police officer at the front desk, and this leader kid needs to have about 10 less lines than the 6 he has already vomited into our ears.
I wonder if you can guess where some of my awards are going.
Yeah. Terrible graphics of them shooting ribbon from their belts at the officer and save Santa with tinsel. Yeah, worst prison break ever. But Charlie is brought back home, and Santa tells him that he should stay home because the kids of the world need him, and his family that was trying to break up family need him. Okay, that's weird. Sorry, I misread that. Charlie gave the greatest present by believing in Santa when even Santa didn't believe.
There's a kids movie. You gotta find some way to make the kid the hero.
Laura's somehow convinced it's Santa because nothing new happens that hasn't already. Neil looks at Scott to realize that he's Santa. I love that note because that's exactly what happens. Laura burns the custody papers, which I can't imagine is legally binding. Bernard bamps in again to eat more food and tells Charlie that the globe will allow him to see Santa whenever he wants. The police arrive in time to surround the house only to witness Santa take off. Yep. He drops the gifts for Laura and Neil that they wanted as kids, and we see the scout elves from the beginning in the crowd. Charlie wants to go into the family business, so I guess he'll have to push Scott off a roof in the future. Bloodthirsty son of a bitch. Charlie summons Santa 10 minutes later, I guess checking response time for his future murder plan. Santa asks if Charlie can go for a ride, and Laura agrees, but cautions not over any oceans, because that's more dangerous than what we've already seen. The movie ends with Scott and Charlie riding off into the night. Probably Scott's last night, as he will be shoved into that fucking ocean. Done.
Oh,
Done.
I'm glad that my notes were able to bring some Christmas cheer.
Oh my god, that was good. It's so good. All right. Let's get into some numbers here. How much do you think this movie cost?
94? 20 million?
22 million. Good job. How much do you think it made?
Well, it's a Christmas movie for families, so it probably had some viewership. If it managed to get multiple sequels, 67.
Much higher.
167.
190.3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why it has sequels and a fucking TV show.
That's a lot.
In the ratings, man. How do you think it did on IMDb? Like, this is a beloved classic Christmas film somehow.
7.8.
6.5.
Okay, I went a little high, but the phrasing of a beloved Christmas classic swayed me.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter, is closer to what your guess was.
77?
73.
Oh, okay.
Audience score?
82.
66.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I guess let's go into awards.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Do you have Zero's awards, or do you want me to get into them?
I do not have them. I figured I'd just put them in the notes because I didn't know where else to put them.
Yes. For worst character, I'm combining with worst scene. It's the rescue of Santa. From the moment the one elf speaks, it just falls apart for me. Him saying, "We are elves," with attitude. Then the others piss the decorations on the guards. Just no. They should have just had the sun. What? The sun and the one elf stand there, and the others having already snuck around him, and then have him wrapped up would have been better. Zero, what are you doing to me, man? Least favorite character? I don't know. Maybe Scott Calvin.
Okay.
Great acting. I didn't care for any of the characters in this movie, really.
Okay.
You?
Oh, that leader elf. From the second he opens his mouth, he won that award.
Okay.
I couldn't stand him. He's played by a child actor, and I've never wanted to punch one in the face so bad.
Yeah. Favorite character? Bernard. I enjoyed his annoyed life as an elf. Can't say I blame the guy. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. David Krumholtz as Bernard is really good. He made me laugh a lot in this movie. What about you?
Yeah, 3 for 3. I picked the same one. Even though his character doesn't make sense for an elf to be so curmudgeon-y, it was just so entertaining because it was maybe the most relatable character who was just like, I've got no time for this.
Favorite or most memorable line? Zero has... My favorite line is after Santa falls off the house and his son says, "It's Santa! You killed him!" I get a laugh out how sad the kid is that he finds out Santa is real, but now he's dead. All right. Do you want to go next here? Sorry.
I don't remember the order. Oh, is it me?
I'll go if you don't have it ready.
You just go. I can't remember the order.
All right. I just have Charlie saying, "Those flames were really big, Dad," and Scott going, "Turkey's funny that way."
Is it because it was educational to you, Ben?
Yes, it really was. Yourself?
So you actually referenced mine. It was the line about, "Have you ever seen $1 million?" No.
Oh yeah.
It's
a good line.
I just liked it because the kid told Neil off, and I mean nobody likes Neil.
For favorite or most memorable scene, Zero has when they first arrived to the North Pole, the one elf walking out and the music quietly playing in the background. Exna, the stupid pin pad. I don't know what that means. But when they get lowered into the workshop and everyone gets excited, it's a good build-up. I hated that scene.
Yeah, I got to disagree with him on this one.
Yeah, completely. Your favorite or most memorable scene?
I'm going to go the second scene with the little girl with the soy milk. I can't lie. That one got me. I was like, that's really sweet.
That's me too, man. Completely. It was a really well done scene.
Yeah, and it was also like very nice to see how far Scott had come from their first interaction to the second one, where the old Scott was just so irritated, and this one is even drinking soy milk, which clearly doesn't taste good, and yet he's still happy and puts a smile on his face. And when she says, you said you were lactose intolerant, and he's like, "That's right, I did. Thank you for remembering." It was so sweet. Something that this movie lacked was sweet scenes like that.
Yeah. The good spots in this movie are few and far between, but that is absolutely amazing. So getting into final thoughts, Zero has my final thoughts. Well, it's a Christmas movie. I've seen far worse. I don't hate Tim Allen as Santa/Scott. I understand why they kept using him in the other two films. I'd say it's a Christmas classic in the same vein as Jingle All the Way. It has its bad points, but there is enough to enjoy that you're not in total misery while watching it. I hope you guys have a decent time watching the film, but more fun picking it apart. Happy holidays to you and all those around you and to all. Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Zero. I don't like this movie. I don't think it's as good as Jingle All the Way. I remember liking it when I saw it in 94, but that's because I was 12, and it made a lot of sense to me then, and for the next few years, it was fun to watch. But I think I just grew out of it. It doesn't really have any lasting power for me. Like Tim Allen's pretty funny. David Krumholtz is great. Wendy Crewson as Laura. I wish she had more screen time. She's amazing. I think she outshines everybody in this movie. But as a Christmas movie, this isn't a Christmas classic for me. It's fun. It's fine. It's not great. I don't know. I think I'm good. I don't really need to see this one again. I wouldn't really recommend it as like an annual viewing. It's not a must-see Christmas movie. But if you haven't seen it ever, definitely give it a watch. Sandra, what's your take?
So as a Christmas movie, I find this to be very flat. It's not offensive. You can watch it just fine. Are you going to enjoy it though? Probably not. Like it's not very good, but it's not offensively bad. It's just a Christmas movie, and yeah. I'm glad that it did so well for people, but it just there's no desire to rewatch this one. There's many Christmas movies that I understand that other people can watch year in, year out, because it gets them into a spirit. It hits them in certain ways for nostalgia and things like that. But I can't see this one doing that for anybody. It's just there.
Agreed.
All right. So that was our thoughts on the Santa Claus. If you guys would like to share your thoughts with us, you can hit us up on social media. We are on Twitter at BSBargainBin, Facebook.com/BSBargainBin, BSBargainBin.com, and YouTube.com/at BSBargainBin. If you've made it this far into the episode, please hit like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Just help us fight this algorithm that is destroying us simply because we are in Canada. No, it's true. The changes to the algorithm were very regional, and that is hurting us.
Jerks.
Oh man, I am glad to be done with this one.
Well, you're picking the next movie, Sandra. So this time you tell me, next week, what are we watching?
Well, as much as you seem to love Christmas movies made for families.
Oh no.
And I mean, 94, that's a little bit dated. We should do something a little bit more modern. Luckily, you guys both referenced a 96 movie that we're going to be watching next week, and it is Jingle All the Way.
Oh, God damn it.
Every holiday season, there's one toy everyone has to have.
I want the Turbo Man action figure with the arms and legs that move, and the rock and roll jetpack, and the boomerang shooter.
Getting it is every child's dream.
Whoever doesn't can be a real loser.
Finding it
You got the doll, right?
is this father's nightmare.
I'll get that toy. I promise. Whoa! Nothing like waiting till the last minute, Howitzer.
Especially on Christmas Eve.
Turbo Man, you're mine! They're all gone.
These two are looking for a Turbo Man!
Where's your Christmas spirit?
The last one just left.
Now, it's two fathers,
This is war.
one mission,
Oh, poor baby.
and every man for himself.
I'm thinking maybe, we could join up as a team. Like Starsky and Hutch.
We're late delivery of Turbo Man! That toy works! Let's go!
Is there a problem, officer?
You can never do too much to make a child's Christmas magical.
Hey, buddy.
From the director of Mrs. Doubtfire,
You want a Turbo Man for Christmas?
Forget it. I'm not gonna sit in your lap.
Tony, show him.
That was taken this morning.
and from the director of The Flintstones.
Don't open that up. No, no, no.
Of course, there's some assembly
You know
required.
what you guys are? Nothing but a bunch of sleazy con men in red suits.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad,
I work for the post office, and I'm unstable. Tell him.
This man is totally insane.
Thank you.
Christmas comes but once a year.
Jingle All the Way.
You picked the wrong day.
Until next time, have a good one.
All the best.